I've just made an amazing discovery. To avoid paying your electric bill, just hook your entire house up to a giant battery. But unfortunately, I did not have a giant battery, and all I had were a couple AAAs. But I'm sure they'll do the trick. I'm like 60% sure. Okay, maybe 60% was too generous. Quick, what's the scariest thing to exist? Nope, sorry, you're wrong. It's actually this thing. Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a niche internet indie horror game. I doubt you've heard about it. For the 2 people on this planet that have it, it's a funny little horror game about working at a pizzeria for about $3 an hour and trying to avoid Mickey Mouse rattling his jaw in front of you. Also, I think there's some sort of story following. I don't really know. Recently, with the release of the newest game in the series, Security Breach, I've been on a bit of a nostalgia trip replaying some of the earlier games. However, my nostalgia doesn't only lie in the original games, but the fan games too. We've got the classics: Five Nights at Candy's, Five Nights at the Krusty Krab and Chum Bucket, Super FNAF, The Joy of Creation, which I'm still too scared to play to this day, Treasure Island, and hundreds of others. However, those games have been played and talked about to death already. We're here today to talk about a couple FNAF fan games that are just a tad bit out of the ordinary. Like, come on, the world needs to know about Trump location. Okay, maybe not. Anyways, before we start, 2 things. 1, I will not be covering the entirety of a couple of these games, most because I fucking reek at FNAF. 2, do not harass anyone who made these games. If you do, I have Freddy Fazbear on speed dial. I will send him after you. Well, with that out of the way, let's play some games. I don't really know how to transition. The first game we'll be talking about is Some Night at Joe's. Oh wait, my bad. Some Night at Joe's remake. Yes, the original was just too iconic to leave be. Made by a game creator named Atomic, Some Night at Joe's was a FNAF fan game series that began in, oh god, 2020? So this is what started the pandemic. Anyway, Some Night at Joe's had 3 games in the series. They were sort of popular, which is why I guess they remade the second game and then remade the first game. No clue why they were remade out of order or why they got remakes a year later. But hey, more power to the creator. I can't do that. Today, I'm not here to focus on the originals, no matter how terrifying the third game looks. I'll be covering the remake of the first game, as this thumbnail is what caught my eye. Look at him. He looks like the broke guy eyeing the wings on the table. Let's start the game up and see what our pal Joe's got in store for us. I wonder what Lincoln would have thought about this. As soon as you boot up the game, it screams the first FNAF game. The title screen, animatronics, graphics, they all look very similar to the first game. For example, the animatronics. You have Mr. Kong, who's pretty original, Bob, who looks exactly like Freddy, Joe, who looks exactly like Chica, Gerald, who I think has a bit of Bonnie as mug, Mr. Frog, who looks very polite, Old Joe has the best name, and last but not least, Maurice. I just don't know what to say about him. Just take one look, that's all you need to know. Also, he's a blatant copy of the puppet, but I'd argue that Maurice is way better. Now onto the gameplay. One slight problem. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. So, hear me out. The gameplay should be fairly simple, right? You have the basic phone guy call, you have a big hallway in the middle, door on the left, vent on the right. On the first night or 2, you watch the big 3, Joe, Bob, and Gerald. Bob goes through the hallway and then to the right vent. Gerald goes through the hallway and then to the left door. To get rid of them, you're supposed to hold this button in the middle, which turns off the lights. Here's the issue though, I can't tell if it works. I don't know if I'm dumb, but I swear, sometimes they'll go away after the lights are out for like a second, but when they're in a vent or whatnot, the light just does nothing. The game tells you this is what you're supposed to do. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but hey, who knows? Anyways, lastly, to keep Big Man Joe out of your office, press a button on your monitor anytime he's moving to reset him. If he's in your hallway, cope. And those are the basics of the game. It's a very vanilla FNAF fan game with a funny name that I just can't beat. I could look it up and 100% the entire game. Could. But hey, maybe the sequels are better. Who knows? Maybe I'll cover all the games in the future. I lied. That's never f***ing happening. I'll be honest, I didn't finish this one, mostly because I sucked at it. But hey, who knows? Maybe I missed an amazing game. But with that out of the way, the scariest thing is yet to come. Let's talk about bald people.
She is such a bad bitch though!
Baldi's Basics and Nightmares. It was a sorta joke game made by RJack25 based on the other viral horror game, Baldi's Basics. I'll be the brave soul to say it. I didn't think Baldi's was that great of a game. Quick note about Baldi's Basics. It was a game that was basically just Slender, wasn't really that fun, but my name is in the credits. Anyways, enough about the original game. Let's talk about the silly, funny FNAF game. The menu is fairly simple: start game or read an entire essay. Instead of 5 nights, there's only 2. The first night is like a simple survive for 300 seconds run. Drag the scissors on this fucking thing or this fucking thing to kill it, hit a certain key or look to the right to get rid of the bald man. Lastly, hover over this little meter right here to keep the principal away. Unlike the last game, this was actually pretty easy. The difficulty doesn't really increase over time, it's all mostly randomized, and all you really have to do is keep your mouse around the principal meter and move back and forth until the night's over. It's a neat little time waster. I wouldn't murder 5 children in a pizzeria over it, but it was an alright time. There's actually a second level where you're in a completely different location, but my small ADHD brain can't comprehend the instructions it tried to throw at me, so I tried to wing it for a bit. It seems like more of a challenge, maybe even a bit more entertaining, but I walked into the wrong bathroom and Baldy killed me instantly, so yeah, that's that. That definitely was a game. I mean, it wasn't really bad by any means, but I didn't have the greatest time with it. I mean, the entire time I was playing it, I looked like this. Before we continue, I'm going to blast through a few FNAF fan games that are pretty weird, but pretty good, but I don't have the time to cover them completely. Five Nights at Wario's, a classic FNAF fan game series made by WWW. It's like FNAF, but if Wario was trying to kill you, it's like elementary school all over again. I couldn't get it to work on my PC for some reason, but here's some footage of Mario without a face jump scaring you. This legitimately scared me back in the day, and I will never live that fact down. Day Shift at Freddy's, a FNAF comedy RPG series made by Direct Doggo. I love this series. I've loved it since it first came out, and honestly deserves a video of its own. You have to work the day shift in Freddy's instead of the night shift, but you're in a very interesting universe of FNAF. You know, one where Phone Guy is literally a phone, you could do unspeakable acts to Foxy, and where you could die by doing a backflip in front of children while in the spring lock suit. I could go on. I strongly recommend you check this game out for yourself, and being serious this time, I could see myself reviewing this whole series. Fun Time at Homer's, another one of those fan games where you mix FNAF in a random series. This time, The Simpsons. I actually like this game. The gameplay is fun. It mixes up the pre-established formula of FNAF like most of these games, but it does it in a sort of charming way. It gives it that old 80s, 90s Simpsons cartoon vibes. It also has a whole story based on characters from The Simpsons, a whole shop system, a button that if pushed will screw you over instantly. This is probably one of the most fun FNAF games I've played in a while. Those games are pretty solid, but God forbid I end on a high note. So let's talk about one of the weirdest Five Nights at Freddy's fan games I found, Five Nights at Thomas. I can't believe it, it's Freddy Fazbear, what the fuck? How did I get here? This is Five Nights at Thomas, the weirdest fan game I could find on GameJolt that wouldn't send my PC into cardiac arrest. Created by JFun300, this was one of the OG FNAF fan games from 2014. I believe PewDiePie played this one, that's how I found out about it. I was never the same since. This game is super simple. Shovel coal to the furnace to keep the power up, close the door when you see Thomas, don't run out of power, that's it. There's nothing else to do for the rest of the game but try to keep Thomas out. The oddest thing I could say about this game is definitely the phone calls. They're from the conductor from the Thomas show, and just take a listen.
Hello and welcome to Thomas's Pizza Railway. I'll be your conductor. So stop 'em hot. I'm here to fill you in on what you need to do for your job as a security guard at Thomas's Pizza Railway. Oh, and some other useful information that you may be able to use as... Oh, okay.
Hurry up before it gets cold!
Some other useful information that you may be able...
Yeah, there's a whole story about that conductor dude killing his girlfriend or whatever, but yeah, that's about as deep as this game gets. That's all I really have to say about this game. However, in doing research, I actually found out this is a very extensive series with a lot of titles under its belt. Whoa, I didn't know this game had such a deep-rooted lore. Guess that explains why the fans are so intelligent. So yeah, that's about it. FNAF fan games can be a little odd, as you could see, but hey, I had fun playing them. Okay, I'm bored. I'm gonna go hang out with Freddy. My name is Togop and I'm friends with Freddy, and you just are not ready. We will sing to the end. When it will end, it will never end, because we are friends, and that is something that will never end. I'm gonna go play some Night at Joe's too.
You've got the will. to get fit and trim. Now shake a leg and you will get slim.